Perfect housewife versus the nice guy. New time poster, long time lurker. If format or anything is wrong, feel free to point it out. So background information. I'm a 22-year-old female, graduated from college last May. I'm back in my hometown to save money before heading off to grad school this coming September. My work is working as a full-time nanny to a lovely family. A pair of very sweet, very well-behaved little girls. We'll call the 1-year-old Kelsey and the 5-year-old Harriet. Easy work, getting Harriet up, fed and ready for kindergarten, making sure Kelsey doesn't eat bugs out of her sandbox, taking them to afternoon activities, providing crayons and giving hugs. Pay is good. My friends jokingly refer me as a soccer mom. This is important. I'm typically in running shoes, yoga pants, baseball caps, and track jackets. I digress. Tuesdays are Harriet's ballet class. I drop her off, and then the 1-year-old and I have about an hour to kill. We mostly frequent the strip mall across the street. Kelsey has managed to charm the coffee shop employees into free treats. 2 weeks ago, we go in to grab coffee, chocolate milk, and head to our usual seat by the window, so she can squeal and pat the glass if a dog walks by. The coffee shop isn't usually very busy this hour, so I'm a little weirded out when a man sits in the armchair right next to ours. He's middle 40s, long, greasy hair, very pale, very overweight. Whatever. It's probably nothing. I let it go. Then I notice he's smiling at the kid who's drooling on my arm. I think very little of this. The girls are mixed. Their mother is Japanese, and the father is American. They both have gorgeous features, and it's not every day you see an Asian child with green eyes and white blonde hair. Then he opens his mouth. Nice mix you've got. I'm used to people thinking I'm Kelsey's mother, so I laugh it off and explain that I'm her nanny. He ignores this. But she looks so much like you. It's okay to be a young mother, don't be ashamed. I more firmly tell him that I'm her nanny, and then under the guise of asking Kelsey if she wants to see the employees make coffee, change our seats to a table closer to the counter. To my dismay, he looks at us for a few minutes, walks over, and plops down on the empty chair on our table. Do you like Asian guys? Where's her father? Are you still with him? I'm getting a little panicky at this point, and nobody else seems to be noticing. The next exchange felt like it was 5 hours, but in reality, it was probably only like 3 minutes. Kelsey fusses to get off of my lap, but I have no intentions of letting her go. The baby wants to get down. Can I hold her? At this point, before I have time to react or respond, the creep reaches across the table and strokes her cheek. I see red, jump up, knocking my coffee over, screeching but not touching her. I start to walk out, or I try to, when I feel a hand on my shoulder. I want to hope it's an employee asking if I'm alright, but it's the creep. You just look like a perfect suburban housewife, and I think we'd be great together. I'm not ashamed about what I did next. I'm not very intimidating looking. Harriet will probably be taller than me by the time she's 10, and I'm only about 118 pounds, so I figure brute strength and adrenaline would be my best bet. Tuck Kelsey under my arm football style, and proceed to deck the guy in the face. Ran out, never going back to the coffee shop again. Before I ran off completely, I heard him scream, "But I'm a nice guy!" I told the parents and they wanted me to report it eventually, so I did. Nothing much came out of it, but they did give me a raise and said that such a protective nanny deserved it. So, creepy baby stalker guy in the coffee shop, let's not meet again. He was a nice guy. I grew up in a town with just under 900 people. When I was 14 years old, my entire class was 42 students. It's a farming community in Oregon, basically in the middle of nowhere, surrounded other small farming towns. My best friend Sarah and I went to the varsity baseball games. We had nothing better to do. It was fun, and Sarah's older brother Aaron was a pitcher. Aaron's best friend Sam was 1 year out of high school and assistant coach of the baseball team. Sarah and Aaron's parents often left us at their house alone with alcohol and no rules. My parents didn't care what I was doing, and even though Sam still lived with his parents at 19, Sarah and I had never met them. I suppose they didn't care either. The 4 of us hung out at the house at the same time, because we were only 14. Aaron and Sam kept a brotherly eye on us. None of their senior friends would touch us, even we threw ourselves at them in a drunken haze. Basically, it was Aaron and Sam's fault we didn't have boyfriends freshman year. It was one of the last games of the season. Aaron was pitching, and Sam was coaching. After losing the game, the team plus Sarah and I went to throw a party as usual. The parties always happened, win, lose, or rain. We drank and hung out, listened to music, and played drinking games. We were all completely average teenagers, with average small-town lives. After I consumed far more vodka than orange juice, I spilled a drink on the kitchen floor. Sam helped me clean it up, and we stood around talking a little bit, before he insisted I go lay down before I fell on my face. He helped me to Sarah's room, gave me a little hug, and put me on the bed. Before he drove home, he checked on me, gave me a little wave, and said goodnight. I passed out in fuzzy bliss. No matter how many times I go over the next day in my head, it never seems right. It was surreal, something I have never understood. The next thing I remember was screaming. Sarah and I woke up to her mother freaking out in the living room. Both Sarah's parents, Aaron, and the Douglas County Sheriff stood. Everyone was way too upset for it to have something we did. I felt sick and terrified. I couldn't comprehend what happened. The sheriff asked me when the last time I saw Sam was. I couldn't speak. Couldn't figure out what any of them were saying anymore. I managed to say I was drunk. The sheriff asked Sarah. She said the same. He simply wrote it down and turned us away. Very strange. They had to find Sam. Sam was missing. Sam was running away. Finally, I started putting thoughts together. Sam was running from the police because he had killed his parents. He killed them when he got home from the party with an axe from the woodshed. He had attended the game, and then the party, then went home, picked up an axe, and struck his father in the head while he was watching TV. His mother made it to the phone and dialed 911. Sam killed her with blows from the axe while she spoke to the 911 operator. Then he disappeared for 2 days. However, from the moment I learned what had happened until Sam turned himself in, I was in a daze. I kept expecting it to be a dream or a sick joke. The whole 2 days I can't remember what I did, who I talked to. It didn't help that Sarah and I increased our alcohol and drug intake. He was such a normal guy. None of us saw what he was capable of. We were all just typical kids. This was 20 years ago. People still avoid talking about it. I never tell the story either. He believed we were soulmates. It's been a whole year since this happened. I look back at it, and it still makes me wonder what I could have done. I'm an 18-year-old girl, but I was 17 when this happened. It started in September, a month before my birthday, and lasted for 4 months. I was getting into 11th grade, anxiety-ridden and hoping my grades wouldn't drop like they did in past years. Due to leaving some of my friends behind, I was kind of a loner, with the exceptions of around 6 friends. I'd never been a wild kid. Part of the reason why I left those groups is due to them being troublemakers. Anyways, I decided to get into an art class, as art is my forte, and I really enjoyed it, especially when I met a few other artists who became my friends. Well, most of them anyways. One of them I met was Tyler, and he's the reason I'm writing this. I met him at the beginning of the year, maybe 2 weeks after school started. He seemed like a nice guy, really funny, though his jokes could get a bit dark, but I just shrugged it off. Most of the stuff that he said, he was one of those half emo, half skater kids, with a dyed shag, the bracelets, fancies. I'll admit, I found him cute, but trust me, I never planned to date him. His personality just wasn't my type. We would talk about our art, where I enjoyed doing anime and characters. He liked gore and death. His art was really well done, but I remember he told me they were from the dreams he'd had. Again, I shrugged it off. He was weird, but I've dealt with weirder. Eventually, we traded Facebook names, added each other on Kik, and I also gave him my number. We'd known each other for about 2 weeks now, so there wasn't any harm as far as I could see. Fast forward a week, and I told my friend Olivia about him, interest, appearance, etc. What was his last name again? She seemed suspicious for some reason, so I told her, and her eyes go wide in shock. Whoa, you're friends with him? I was confused by this point, and again answered her, you better be careful around him. He's kind of a creep. "What do you mean?" I asked, but she didn't give me any answer and just told me not to get too close to him. Fast forward 2 weeks, after what Olivia said, I got really curious about it and checked out Tyler's Facebook. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. In fact, he didn't seem to use it that much, besides sharing a music video or posting selfies. Once again, I shrugged this off. After messaging each other back and forth on Kik for 2 weeks, we decided to hang out and met up at the mall Saturday afternoon around 2 p.m. Doing what every teen does at the mall, we walked around and window shopped, in which I would see stuff I liked and point out how much I need money. He seemed to be paying a lot of attention, and when asked me what else I liked, we switched our likes and dislikes back and forth. As we walked around, he seemed kind of weird later on. He'd almost glare at people, which made me wonder if maybe he knew them and wasn't on good terms with them. A lot of the people were guys and other teenagers, and I was a little concerned but didn't ask about this. Like I said, I figured they were just people that he knew. Fast forward a week before my birthday, I was all ready to turn 17 and decided to invite all of my friends over for a party that weekend. Of course, I invited Tyler, Olivia, and a couple other close friends. As the weekend came close, Olivia texted me asking why I invited Tyler. I explained that we're friends, and I didn't want to leave him out. "Didn't I tell you he's a creep though?" She texts back. "Listen, he's my friend, and I'm sorry if you don't like him, but just try to ignore him." I respond. The weekend comes, and everyone seems to be having a good time. At least I thought so. Tyler seemed like the black sheep, which was weird, because a few other friends were all like him in the emo skater category. A few friends who didn't go to our school talked to him, but Olivia and another friend, Teresa, both left without even telling me why. I asked my on and off boyfriend at the time why, but he had no idea, so I decided to call them. I was ignored, so I figured I'd talk to them on Monday. Present time came, and I began opening everyone's gifts, until there were about 5 left. I found it weird though, because Tyler was the one who brought them all, and even weirder that they were every single item I pointed out at the mall a few weeks back. "I figured I'd give you a nice surprise since you deserve it," he said with a smile. I didn't understand what he meant, but told him thank you and set the gifts with the others. Fast forward 2 weeks, and me and my boyfriend broke up for the final time. I was hurt and cried like any average teen girl in love, and when Tyler found out, he was furious. "I'll fucking kick his ass," he texted me after telling him. I told him it was no big deal, and that I'd get over it, but he persisted on going after him. The next day, my friend told me Tyler had brought a kitchen knife to school. The only way she found out was he showed it to her brother and bragged about how he was going to take care of my problem. Fortunately, my ex missed school that day, and Tyler was caught with a knife out. I texted him asking how the hell he could be so stupid to try to hurt my ex. Why not? He hurt you, so I was gonna hurt him. I was a bit frozen at this. That's when I unfriended and deleted him from everything. I told him I couldn't be friends with him, and even at school, I didn't say a word to him. 2 weeks passed, and he wouldn't stop messaging and calling me. "Why won't you talk to me? Please don't ignore me. I like you a lot. I love you even, baby. Baby, please. I can't lose you." Message after message, call after call. The fact he outright confessed to me made it even worse. He loved me? For some reason, one part in me didn't believe it. And finally, I got sick of it all, especially his spamming, and blocked him on Facebook and Kik. He called me that night, and finally I answered. "Please, I'm sorry. I don't want to lose you. Tyler, you need to stop. I don't love you, and we aren't friends anymore, so just stop this." I hung up. Another week, and he still tried calling me and texting. He also made another Kik, and each time I blocked him, then came a new one. At school, he kept leaving notes in my locker and on my desk, and even tried to give them to my friends to pass on to me. They all told him to stop and to leave me alone, but he still kept going. One night, my parents went out with my aunt and uncle for their anniversary, and my sister went to my cousin's. So I had the whole house to myself. Decided to plop on the couch and play video games. I had no fear that something bad would happen, as all the doors were locked and all the windows were shut. As I played, I heard my dog start barking at the back door. Not thinking about it, I just called them back into the living room and told them to shush. 10 minutes passed, and once again they bark at something outside, so I decided to just go take a quick look and shut the blinds so they wouldn't see as well. As I reached the door, I stopped dead in my tracks and feel my heart stop. At my back door stands a person whose hood is up. They're dressed in all black, and seemed to just be staring at me. My dogs growl and bark, and finally I come to my senses and grip my cell phone. I hold it up and shout, "If you don't leave, I'm calling the cops." They stand there for a moment before turning and walking off. I watch as they hop the fence and don't see them anymore. A part of me wonders who it could have been, but a smaller part of me has a feeling I knew who it was. Weeks passed, and Tyler still doesn't give up, badgering me and telling me he loves me and what he wants to do with me, which creeped me out 10 times more. Time and time again, I tell him to stop or leave me alone, but no letting up. I wanted to let my mom know, but at the same time, I figured I could handle this since I was almost an adult. Stupid choice. 3 months of this stalking, and I begin to notice my grades dropping horribly, along with my social life. Some of my friends were getting tired of Tyler constantly coming to them to get in touch with me, and I ended up losing them. I became depressed and even got scared to check my phone or backyard in case he ever showed up. One night, my mom found him peeking into her windows, and another time, he left a note on mine, which she never told me what it said. I finally explained to her what was going on. She didn't get mad. She was scared for me. What if it got worse? Well, we hoped at least that it wouldn't. We hoped he finally realized what he was doing was wrong. Unfortunately, he didn't. I still remember the last night I saw him. I got into bed, but when I felt something larger pin me down, I woke up straight away. But before I could scream, he covered my mouth. The look he had, I'll never forget. I saw my window open, and since I was on the bottom floor, it wasn't hard for him to get inside. "You can either run away with me now, or I'll go kill your family and tie you up and take you by force," he said. I could feel tears rolling down my cheeks as I whimpered, "Are we gonna be together? Or do I have to murder everyone you love until I'm the only one left?" I nod without my control, and he smiles before uncovering my mouth and starting to get off me. I take this opportunity and finally get out of my daze. I kicked him in between the legs and screamed my mom's name. He collapsed holding his crutch, and I ran to my door. He tried chasing me, but I heard my parents running down the stairs, and when they saw him, my dad nearly strangled him as he pinned him to the ground. The cops showed up after we called them and took Tyler away. After that, I never saw him again. I ended up finding out he went to juvie, but also about why he did everything. After his mom's death when he was 14 years old, his dad became neglectful, and his whole family were cold to him, so he grew kind of a dependence on me because I cared about him. Depression and anxiety also pushed him into all of this, along with finding out he had psychological issues and knowing what's right and wrong. Even though we had only had a friendship, he saw it as love and believed us to be soulmates. So when I didn't respond to his feelings in his mind, pushing and stalking me was the only way to get me to feel the same way he did. I then found out he'd stolen his dad's debit and credit cards, and I told his older cousin who lived a state over about his plan to get me and take me there so we could be together with no obstacles. In a way, I feel bad for him, but then again, I don't know why. To this day, I, at times, get letters from him, but I always rip them up or throw them away. I don't know what I could have done to have this happen, but all I say is, Tyler, let's not ever meet again. He's just a nice guy. This is a throwaway account just in case. So, about 2 years ago, in the year 2014, I was really bored one evening, so I decided to create a profile on an app called Meet24. It was really crappy, and for international people to get to know each other. Turned out men only send their dick pics on said app, so I deleted it shortly after, not long before meeting Leonardo. See, Leonardo is from Italy, and I happen to be German. I actually have Italian ancestors, and I've been to Italy a few times in my childhood. That was one of the topics we started to talk about. He seemed friendly enough, and although I wasn't looking for a long-distance relationship or even a relationship at all, I gave him my phone number and we texted via WhatsApp. Shortly after exchanging numbers, I remember getting annoyed by him. He started sending me cheesy pictures with crappy love quotes, sappy love songs, and even texted, "We can be friends, and we don't have to start a relationship." At this point, starting a relationship hadn't crossed my mind once. Even the becoming friends part seemed highly unlikely to me all of a sudden. I didn't get a creepy vibe or anything like that. He was still just being friendly, just overly annoying and persistent. I mean, there were countries separating us. I was safe. But he said he would come to Germany to see me because he really wanted to meet me. Keep in mind, we had only been texting for a few hours. Suddenly, he started talking about relationships, that we could be soulmates, and more pictures of weird love quotes were sent. I was like, dude, chill. And then he was like, yes, we don't have to be in a relationship right now. Love takes time. I tried to tell him that's not going to happen. And when he started to call me, I didn't pick up. I told him straight away that I was not interested in a relationship nor friendship with him and blocked him, quickly forgetting about him. About 8 months later, I got a text from an unknown number. He didn't say who he was, but I saw his WhatsApp picture and immediately recognized him since he was still using the old picture from 6 months ago. He asked me how I've been and more rather tame stuff. Before I asked if we knew each other, of course I knew it was him. Then he said that we indeed texted before, but I had blocked him. He was still nice to me, not realizing that blocking him was my way to say, I don't want to stay in contact with you. I blocked him again. About 6 months ago, I got a friend request on Facebook. It was him. He still used that old picture of him. I wasn't scared or anything like that, just confused. I didn't tell him my surname, but he did know in which city I lived and my name. Keep in mind, I told him over a year ago very briefly. Weird, I thought, and without adding him. I texted him over the Facebook Messenger. Again, he was friendly and nice enough, not realizing that blocking him twice was still the same message. I don't want to stay in contact with you. I still wasn't creeped out, just annoyed to be honest. Quickly he started talking about relationships and that I was the most beautiful girl and asked if I didn't want to meet him only because he was black. He asked me that even if my family wouldn't accept him, he still wanted to try and meet me. I told him it wasn't because of his skin color and instead told him that I had a boyfriend. I lied. Then he suddenly said that being just friends was fine with him and that he wanted to become friends with my boyfriend too. Now that is just ridiculous. I blocked him shortly afterwards for a third time. I really tried to reason with him since he was still being quite polite and nice, but he persisted. Again, I forgot about him until 2 days ago. First, my Instagram account is not connected with my Facebook. There is actually no way to find anyone without knowing their nickname or already following a friend of the person you're looking for. At least I thought. Leonardo followed me 2 days ago on Instagram. My account is not on private, so he could have gone through my pictures without me knowing, even screenshotting and saving them without my consent. He followed me, and at first, I didn't know it was him. I had my assumption, but he was using different pictures now, and he looked a little different. I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to accuse a stranger, so I waited for the text, and I got it this morning on my way to work. He was still being nice. "Hi, how are you?" With a red heart. I replied, "I wanted to be sure. Hey, fine and you?" "I'm fine, thanks." "How cold at your place?" "Very cold and rainy since it's autumn." "Ooh, that's serious." "What kind of sport you do?" At this point, I was sure it was him. I was a little perplexed that he didn't tell me right away who he was. He used to do that. I decided to confront him, while a shocking realization slowly set in. "Sorry, do we know each other?" He proceeded to tell me that I was in Germany, and that he was in Italy, and that we did know each other in person. We've never met. I told him that I know who he is. I don't want to narrate what passed between us. We did chat on WhatsApp, Facebook, but we first met on an app called Meet24, remember? I know I remember. "Are you low-key stalking me? How did you find me?" No response, only seen. He then liked a picture of me from February 2016. I blocked him again. I asked myself, do I really have a stalker? Is this real? Did he try to hack into my Facebook account a few weeks ago? Huh? Weird. But he's just a nice guy in a different country. Nothing to worry about, right? The chat conversation is real and happened a few hours ago. No other person tried to follow me since, and I've set my profile on private. There was really someone who tried to hack into my Facebook account. I even got a message from Facebook while I was using it on my phone. The person did not succeed, but again, I was really perplexed. It never crossed my mind that it could have been him, until this morning.